Hi, this is Dr. William Butler. I am with Capital Technology University, and I am the host for our National Service Panel for the year 2025. The National Service Panel is co-hosted by the Military Cyber Professional Association, MCPA, and the Blacks in Cybersecurity, BIC. It is a dynamic forum designed to spotlight career pathways into national service through the lens of cybersecurity and technology. This panel was first launched at DEF CON in the year 2020. The panel has evolved into a recurring event that brings together experts from government, military, and industry to share insights on public service, workforce development, and diversity in tech. My three panelists, I will have them introduce themselves, and we'll start with Dr. Gray.
Hi, I am Dr. Ebony Gray. I'm the CEO for Gray's Consulting Group and Gray's Construction Group. I am a woman developer and also a woman in tech for 25 years, and I help to simplify the process of obtaining government contracts and landing cybersecurity careers. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. And we will go to Nakia Henderson.
Hi, Nakia Henderson. I am the president of the Women in Cyber Mid Atlantic affiliate, also known as WESIS Mid Atlantic. I am also a still proud public servant and have been working for the government 15 years now. I bring my experience and my dedication and passion to really helping to shift the narrative and the dynamic of minorities and public servants working in cybersecurity, as well as helping those transition into the career field and find their cyber home, as I like to say. So, looking forward to participating with my fellow panelists today and looking forward to all of you at DEF CON who will be watching this to get you all's feedback, but to leave you guys some golden nuggets as you guys navigate your experiences through the cybersecurity industry. Thank you.
And our last panelist, Hugh Shepard.
Hi, my name is Hugh Shepard. I'm a freelance consultant, currently based overseas in Bangkok, Thailand. I have over 25 years experience in IT, telecom, working for several different federal agencies and private sector firms. Primarily now, while I'm overseas, I'm doing some consulting work for another U.S. agency, primarily focusing on digital infrastructure and digital transformation.
Thank you, Hugh. As you can see, we have a very diverse panel, very different backgrounds, but one thing they do have in common is the national service. So the first question is, can you share your personal story as to what motivated you to participate in the national service as a career? You can take it in any order you would like.
I'll start. So the big thing for me was I served in the United States Air Force for most of my adult life. I learned cybersecurity, but most importantly, I learned to lead. I learned to be a team with my service members, and not just the Air Force, but all services, because we served in the intelligence community. And when I separated from the Air Force, I actually launched my nonprofit, The Next Chapter, to advocate for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. And the first thing I wanted to jump in and save everybody. And that was not the case. Most of my survivors wanted to be empowered. They wanted to learn how to enter into government contracting. They wanted to learn how to transition into careers. And that started Grace Consulting Group, where you meet your client at their point of need. I'm helping to empower you. I'm helping to make sure that you're financially empowered and able to live the life that you want. So that started essentially my service. And even back when I was 16 years old, I actually volunteered at a child crisis center. So I got to see young youth that we're already on the track to the juvenile justice system at 5 years old, and it ignited something inside of me where it says, I have to serve. I have to make sure that I'm saving our community and that I'm helping to teach us and empower us and equip us in our careers, especially cybersecurity, and in entrepreneurship, especially government contracting, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Feel free to go ahead, Nakia. I'll go last.
Okay. So I took a very non-traditional path into the life of a public servant. Prior to joining this career field in cyber and in public service, I was in commercial real estate, where I managed properties and buildings, design build in Washington D.C., in Baltimore, but pretty much predominantly in the DMV area. And I really got into working in public service because one of my tenants actually did a lot of training and work with the government and suggested that, I go and work for the government. So I came into the government not under a cybersecurity discipline, but of a building manager, excuse me, to really help manage the government's properties. And what some folks may not realize is that the government is one of the biggest landlords, if not the biggest landlord in this nation. And while I loved that job and loved seeing buildings come from a design concept in someone's mind to actually breaking ground to building and occupying a building, I was responsible for making sure the building itself was safe, physically safe, which kind of sparked and led me transitioning and pivoting into cybersecurity. Um, and I want to say around 2014. And I went this track because I was really interested in how do I keep our critical infrastructures, our network secure? How do I not only protect the occupants of my building, but protect the systems that they're using? And that's what sparked my curiosity by way of to go into cybersecurity. And I've been in cyber, but I've been, like I said, in the government for 15 years. And one of the things is, finding an agency that aligned with my core mission values and able to give back to my community, to give back to those that may, look that may have the same experiences and not come from, traditional families or traditional homes or even traditional paths into the workforce. To really be that living example of, see it, believe it, become it. And I have just enjoyed being a part of agencies whose missions align with my core values and knowing that at the end of the day, when I go home, I'm doing something that's bigger than me and I am helping, our nation, one, secure our critical infrastructures, but two, just as a consumer, as someone who lives here, making sure that what the work that I'm doing is keeping us all safe in one facet or another. Thank you.
Far as me, far as federal service, I would say it's in my DNA. I come from a legacy, a family history of either military service or working as civilians for either federal agencies or at military installations. I served in the U.S. Army for 4 years. And then after that, I got involved working in the private sector in consulting for serving clients like in the U.S. government, from DOD to Bureau of Engraving and Printing, you name it. And as far as technology, I wouldn't consider myself a techie. My bachelor's degree is in political science, so I'm not a tech guy. However, I've always liked kind of gadgets and technology. And then in the military, I was in the Signal Corps, which is the telecommunications branch of the U.S. Army. Continued that work outside in the civilian world, and eventually, while working for a DoD client, got involved in IA, which was cybersecurity was usually referred to at the time, information assurance, securing systems before they go live on the network. And that just blossomed into a completely different, different trajectory for me, career path, focusing on cybersecurity the past almost 10 years now. But just kind of a family history, legacy of military and civilian government service.
Thank you. All three of you chose to answer to the call, a higher calling, serving our fellow Americans in the government or the military. Let's get a little bit more personal for our audience, especially for those who are young and just, and when I say young, college grads or entering the workforce. What challenges or obstacles that you face personally, and can you share how you overcame them? What sort of strategy or mindset do you use to approach an obstacle that you may have faced in your national service career?
I could go first with this one. I will say one of the biggest challenges that I had, especially when initially entering the workforce, and not even just the public workforce, but entering the workforce, is really determining and figuring out what it is I wanted to do and answering that question of what do I want to be when I grow up, right? Um, I had to navigate just office politics and learning how to communicate in a way, in a strategic way that would resonate with my leadership, that would resonate with my superiors, either my immediate supervisors and my lateral coworkers that I worked with, and being able to find my voice in the workplace. I knew that I had value to bring. I knew that I had awesome ideas when sitting in strategic meetings. But it took me at least the first 3 to 4 years of my career to learn how to effectively communicate from the guise of being a value adding participant and contributor to the team in which I was on or have been on, or the teams that I have been on at the time. I also did not consider myself, I'm not a techie. I like to say I'm a cyber fuzzy. I have a master's in policy, so I like the policy compliance side. But when working with individuals in this field from this background, you have to know the tech in order to be able to talk the tech, in order to be able to manage the tech. So while I didn't know it per se, I did have to become very familiar with it. And so being able to merge, communication, verbal and written communication is extremely important to one's success, as well as becoming well versed and knowledgeable about the different types of techs. I was able to really navigate, working my way up within the career ladder and making, a name for myself and my presence known as someone who is dedicated, but also just always there to help. You see a problem, bring a solution. Don't just bring a problem. And so every time when I would see a problem, I would think about it, but I would also bring a solution. And I found that solution setting to be extremely helpful and valuable, but also key and instrumental to my professional success.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead next. For me, strict, personal obstacle was, I'll be honest, getting out of my own way, and learning to embrace the moment and the challenges presented in that moment. Because, quite often, especially when I was younger, I didn't, I was always looking for the next move or the next opportunity, instead of just like, okay, let's just slow it down a bit. Let's just, make the most of my current work, become exceptional at what I'm currently doing, just get really deep into it, instead of always thinking like, oh, well, the next move, I'm not saying not to be strategic, and think, have a long-term plan, but don't forget about making the most of the opportunities that are in front of you at that moment. That was kind of a big challenge for me, I guess, being young, being restless, wanting more. However, in retrospect, I realized there were some great situations I was in, work-wise and opportunity-wise, that I could have leveraged and could have made the most of, or more of. But I was always too busy thinking about, well, what's my next move or whatever. And I'll just wrap it up and just say, like, definitely just, become an expert, whatever you're doing, just become an expert at it, get deep, and learn it through and through, and, just make the most of every opportunity in front of you.
Thank you. Wise words.
So for me, and special shout out to the federal government, and prayers to my peers at the federal government. I just celebrated 25 years in the federal government. I work for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I serve as a policy analyst as well as an audit liaison officer. And I have to admit, it was easy for me to get into the federal government. So I was so equipped and so prepared when I transitioned from the Air Force. I got my first job after attending my first job fair 2 weeks after I separated from the Air Force, and I tripled my salary. So I didn't know anything about negotiating for a salary. I thought I was doing something at the salary that I presented to the recruiter, but the recruiter definitely saw something in me when he met me at the job fair, and he said, "No, I'm going to double what the salary that you said." And again, it was triple my military pay at the time. So I really thought I was doing something. But let me tell you, the taxes are a little different when you get out the military. So I just want to forewarn any of my transitioning veterans, that please pay attention to your money and your taxes, because I thought I was doing something until tax time came and I had to pay Uncle Sam all of that money. The other part is, I think it's important for you to understand your values, understand what you're passionate about, and where you want to go in your life and your career. The military tells you what to do. You can select your job a little bit at the beginning, but I was an intel analyst. But I can tell you, I worked as a reporter. I worked as a cybersecurity analyst. I worked as an OPSEC program manager. I worked as a strategic planner. They told me what to do. So when I transitioned from the military, I had to really find my own identity. I immediately went back to where I came from. I went back into the intelligence community. And honestly, that wasn't my passion. That wasn't my purpose. Edward Snowden happened
Mm.
as I was a government contractor. I just got a bonus. They told me I was doing an exceptional job. I had just wrote the advanced cyber defense course for US Cyber Command, and we all got cut from our contract. That was devastating. I had to spend 6 months unemployed. So imagine having a high six-figure salary, and then all of a sudden it's just snatched from you. That is the reality of a contractor. It's not
Mm.
guaranteed. So I spent 6 months working politics. I learned everything about politics. I worked as a campaign manager. I worked as um, a fundraiser. I worked as a field operations manager for campaigns in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. By my connections, by my network. And I always say your network directly impacts your net worth. I was able to pitch myself to talk about my background. And the person that I met at one of the campaign events that I attended said, "Send me your resume. I have a job for you." And in less than 2 weeks from the time that I submitted my resume, because I was prepared, right? You have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I had my 30-second pitch ready. I had my resume and my cover letter ready. So when she provided me with the job announcement, I was able to submit. And guess what? That person wasn't the first one to see my resume. It has to get through the ATS system, the automatic tracking system. So I had my resume up to par. I had the experience. I was able to submit. And from the time I submitted to the time I landed, my position in the government was 2 weeks. If you know anything about federal employment, it normally doesn't happen that way. But that was my life because of my network, because I knew how to pitch myself. So I was more than ready and prepared. I took advantage of the resources the Air Force provided, the transition assistance program, the federal employment workshops, even the boots to business. I was ready, right? I took all the training, all the opportunities. I took TAPS twice to make sure that I was prepared. So that way, when these opportunities came, I knew how to do my resume. I had resources. I was getting job announcements. But guess what? I didn't get my job from just applying. I got my job from pitching myself, connecting with a person, and that person was on the other side. So I always say you need three things to be successful in the federal government. You need a mentor, you need a coach, But most importantly, you need the stakeholder that's going to pull you up and pull you in to give you those opportunities that may not even exist.
Yep.
And that's how I've navigated my pathway. So I've never had a struggle. I think my only struggle is what next, right? What do I want to do when I grow up? What next? But ultimately, I've always known how to network, always know how to prepare myself. And remember, your coach, your mentor, and your stakeholder. And don't forget to join professional organizations in order to build your network, in order to learn about others in the industry. So that way you're not on the island by yourself. You're able to navigate with your community.
Very wise words. I like your network is your. Can you repeat that phrase you said?
Your network directly impacts your net worth.
Amen. You're only as powerful as your network. Right. I like that. Let's move on to we kind of talked about your personal experiences, and I know for myself, I always look at organizations to see the folks that are running this organization. Do they look like me? Is anybody in this organization look like me? So with that concept, how important was it for our younger generation or people who are interested in national service and seeing you? Do you have an experience where someone actually said, I was inspired to national service because I saw you, because I met you and you inspired me?
Yeah, I could definitely say I've had a couple of those conversations. I spend a lot of time giving back in the way of like mentoring, giving career advice, resume reviews, helping college students prepare for the workforce, writing their resume, interview preps. But I will say that it's come back and it's boomeranged where I've had individuals come to me and say, you know, before I met you, I didn't think it was possible. And just seeing you either up on the stage or thank you for taking the time to talk to me, or, and I'm going to be pretty blunt here, I didn't know Black people had jobs like this. You know, like, it was definitely an eye-awakening moment for me because I didn't really look at life or work in that lens. You know, where I grew up, I'm from California, you know, I grew up in the Valley. So, you know, I didn't really think or was that conscious, you know, of just the benefits of having cultural differences and diversity, because it's what I always grew up in. I just thought it was natural, you know. Then I came to the East Coast and things drastically change. And so having individuals come and say, you know, it's because I saw you give that talk, or, you know, I sent you a message on LinkedIn and you actually responded. I really find value in that. And I do think that having someone that, you know, looks like me or speaks like me or talks like me has really helped to sometimes bring out the best in me, because it breaks down some of those silos, it breaks down some of those stereotypes, and it really opened the door to push my motivations even further to say, well, yeah, if they did it, then I can do it. And I've seen that come back, where I've seen some students that I've mentored who are now, you know, team leads and supervisors at publicly traded companies, you know. And I like to say, you guys are doing it. You guys are taking what you've learned and what you saw and you're running with it. And I couldn't be more proud. And so I will say that it does make a difference when you have someone that you can relate to, whether it's being a female and having that relatability, where it's being a Black female and having that relatability, where it's being a millennial. You know, they look at millennials like we're kind of lazy, and we're like, no, we're not. We just like to get the work done and move on to the next thing, you know? And so having like all those different aspects definitely play a role in having motivating others, but also being motivated. And I'll pin drop right there.
I'll go ahead. You know, I've been a mentor for a while, you know, through organizations like BIC and on my previous jobs, and even in the military. You know, you're not referred to as a mentor, but when you're like a NCO, you know, you basically serve in that capacity. And you know, seeing someone, you know, that looks like me in leadership positions or in higher ranks or higher roles has always been, to me, helpful, you know, and motivating. And now that I'm older and you know, I guess more established, it feels good, you know, and it makes me, you know, gives me a sense of like, hey, I have a job. When younger folks come up to me and say similar things, you know, like, hey, you know, you inspire me, or what you said I thought was extremely motivating, or just seeing someone that looks like me in a position, you know, in your type of role. You know, like Nakia said, I didn't know, you know, Black folks, you know, did that type of work or had those type of roles. You know, bottom line, it's motivating, and it makes me realize like, hey, you know, I have a role to play. You know, I have a job to play. This is bigger than me. You know, and I think, you know, for me, evolving from just like a guy, you know, fresh out of school trying to figuring things out, to being more established and more visible, especially nowadays with like LinkedIn and, you know, virtual type of meetings and stuff. You know, my presence and my influence is global. Not saying that I'm a superstar, but you know, through the wonders of technology, you know, someone in, you know, South Africa or somewhere in Nepal can see me online and be like, hey, if he can do it, you know, I can do it, or he's inspiring. And not only that, they can connect with me. So, you know, it just, for me personally, it's inspiring, it's motivating, and it gives me a bigger understanding of my role and my purpose, and you know, knowing that I have a role to play to influence others and develop the next set of young professionals, not only in cybersecurity, but whatever profession they may choose to get involved in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
And for me, I mentor on multiple organizations, but one of the most impactful mentorship opportunities that I've had is mentoring for SCORE. So the one thing is, if you look on the website, you look at the biographies, many times you don't see African American women represented. So many of my clients that come to me to learn about entrepreneurship, consulting work, nonprofits, grants, they always come to me because they say, you look like me, right? I feel like I can connect with you, that you can relate to my struggle and what I've been through. And then also within the federal government, Blacks in Government, AFCEA, which is for the cybersecurity professionals, but just being in the room around those professionals, the African American Executive Association, Federal Executive Association, few federally employed women. I personally have received great benefits. Blacks in Government was the first time that I ever connected with a coach, and that inspired me to go ahead and get my coach certification. My agencies invested over $40,000 to ensure that I got certified by the International Coach Federation and became an ACC certified coach in a cohort. We have right now over 60 coaches, and we're the best practice. And again, when people come to me as a coach, they always come because they say representation matters. They want to connect, they want to be inspired. Most of the time, I get the entry level where they're just trying to figure out the government. What do? I done started this job. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. They told me I had one job. I'm doing something totally different, but I'm able to help them navigate and able to relate to them. I've mentored people for OPM, for their fellows program, as well as other leadership programs, the CXO program that the federal government used to have. But seeing those individuals where that light switch turns on, where they say, aha, I get it, because many times they don't have a support system, they don't have a network, they do feel isolated and alone. So I'm able to help them navigate smoothly into the federal government, able to help them figure out how they can lead where they are, because sometimes you might feel stuck where you say, I don't feel as though I'm making an impact. What is my purpose here? right? Everybody wants to pivot into cybersecurity. How do I pivot in cybersecurity if I just have an administrative background or I'm not traditionally in IT or cybersecurity? So being able to mentor, being able to give those tools and guidance. And most importantly, I have 22 interns from the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program. If you know anything about the Honorable, God rest his soul, Marion Barry, many of the people in the federal government came through that summer youth employment program. I personally hired 22 for the summer as my interns, taught them AI tools, taught them how to do their resume, taught them how to navigate Gamma, Canva, Chat GPT, Claude, taught them how to identify what careers they want, trying to figure out life, taught them financial readiness, how to get ready for their credit. But you can see that we're having an impact because I brought some of my friends along to help mentor them and to help pour into them. But imagine 22 Black youth in DC being inspired, being mentored, and we're prepping them for the future. So that's my values. That's my why is I want to see the future. It's not just about me. I want to help bring the future up and help them navigate life. And I want them to be better than me in all aspects of life. So that's how I make a difference. And that's how I see the impact from just showing up, being present, and being a mentor.
Awesome, awesome. You kind of read my mind. My next question was kind of going to take a turn on the AI, and the employers that come to my school are telling us that the students better have basic AI skills no matter what their major. So I wanted to kind of uh, pivot to that for the three of you, or what are you seeing from where you sit in terms of AI and how important it is to incorporate that into your own personal daily work?
So I'll start because I am the queen of AI, right? The
I
AI,
thought you were, yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
certified AI
yeah.
consultant, right? We are part of a conglomerate. And thank you to Alicia Little for inspiring many of us in the AI community. But
Hmm.
just with my 22 interns, the one thing that I found with the youth, and I have from 16 to 24-year-old interns, is that when you give them a project and an assignment to do, they are able to expand and be better. So
Mhm.
just navigating, 22 youth have created 22 webinars for my business. Not only
Wow.
did they use ChatGPT to create the webinars, but they also were able to create the handouts for the webinars, the video for the webinars, the script for the webinars using the various tools using Canva, Gamma, ChatGPT. It's easy for them. And they do it right on their phones because most of them say, oh, I can't log into my computer. But the reality is the federal government has implemented an executive order where every agency has to have a director of AI at the
Mm.
agency. So that's how important it is. So with that, that director is not going to be doing all the work. They need a workforce to actually do the work. AI is embedded into everything that we do. You're able to automate going to a medical appointment. What should I ask the doctor? What are the instructions? My loved one passed away. What are the steps that I need to take when my loved one passed away? Even for your homework assignments and your papers, they say, oh, don't use AI. But guess what? My professors at George Washington University encouraged us to use AI, but they said just don't get caught, right? Make sure that you incorporate your own verbiage into the AI
Right.
and into the writing, but use AI to help you find the references and the resources for your paper. Use Perplexity. But it is so important because if we don't, especially teach our youth about AI, they're going to be left behind. There's so many certifications. Now colleges have actual curriculums and certificates in AI. They're using it in real estate. They're using it in finance. They're using it in the federal government. They're using it in healthcare and in the legal field. So it's every place. So the one thing is not only do you want to have your foundation, right? Your actual major, but you want to have that other side of AI to make sure that you're ahead of times, to make sure that you're automating your life, simplifying your life. making processes easy, and you want to be that person that brings it into the workplace, right? You want to be the go-to person that can say, I can do this because Dr. Graydon taught me all these AI tools. And that's what I teach my students so they can be better no matter what aspect, whether they're in filmmaking, they want to be a contractor, electrician, or IT. You can incorporate AI into your everyday, day-to-day life.
Have you got
Yeah.
any space for any more interns?
I have my
Give or
22,
take.
their internship is up August 1st. But Dr. Butler, Capital Technology University, I just heard about your university, and I heard that they're putting out some of the top-notch IT professionals and cybersecurity professionals with a pipeline into the National Security Agency and other federal agencies. So I've been pushing my youth, find out more about Capital
Yes, we
Technology
do.
University, but I am here and I'm open to teach, right? I want to teach the youth. So if you ever want to collaborate or anybody wants to collaborate, let me know, because the big thing is to make sure our youth are equipped and educated to use these AI tools and be great.
We'll have you come to Capitol. I'm going to hold you to that then. Come talk to our students.
Please do.
Okay.
I'll go ahead next. Kind of just, piggybacking on what Dr. Ebony said, when it comes to AI, just, embrace it, be it, on a personal tool level, or getting more deep into like data science, or, the underlying algorithms, or whatever. Just embrace AI. Quite often, maybe just a circle of friends, or maybe, certain age groups, kind of fear AI, or are a little apprehensive. But, it's nothing wrong with being, want to know what's going on under the hood, but don't shy away from it. Don't run away from technology. Globally, I mean, it's, I hate to use this term, but it's an arms race, basically. Everyone's racing to be the leader in AI, to gain whatever advantage, be it, AI enabled, being the place for AI enabled data centers, or being, the leader in AI patents, you name it. The US is part of that global race. And we need our folks to just embrace it and learn AI at any level, be it like just, your tools, your personal life, be it, again, getting deeper into the science of it itself. Me personally, yeah, I use it. It's a tool. It's like, it's like the calculator. Why should I not use AI? People switch from the abacus to a calculator. Why not switch from just playing PCs and Google search and switch to AI? It's just the natural progression of humanity and technology. So, I keep repeating the same thing, but it's just embrace it at any level, learn more about it, be it at a cursory level, or, a deeper level. And there's just no excuse not to say, I don't know. With the internet, and like Dr. Ebony was saying, everyone's offering some sort of certification, some sort of training. It's online, it's free. Just learn, and never, be the person who's like, caught not knowing, or shying away from something, because the world's moving fast. AI is moving fast. Learn it, embrace it, learn it. And then, also, but use it wisely. Understand, that you do have to kind of make sure, some of the outputs aren't, hallucinations. Verify. like, wait a minute, that's completely not real. So, but
don't learn the hard way. That's right.
Yeah, don't do that. There's learn the better way to use AI as a tool, and then use it efficiently and effectively. Put your voice into it, and leverage it as a tool. That's the best advice, because I feel like I'm repeating the same thing. Bottom line, embrace it. Don't shy away, and there's no excuse not to know or not to learn.
Awesome.
I'll have
advice.
to piggyback right off of that, Hugh, because I will be honest. I'm a late adopter and one who was very hesitant and have been tiptoeing, into AI. And not so much I'll be honest, I just didn't have an interest, right? I was like, it's too much, it's too fast, it's too quick. Everyone's trying to, like you say, the arms race. Everyone's trying to roll it out quickly. Where are the guardrails? The policy compliant mindset of me is like, how are we going to use this? How is this going to be smart? And then you start hearing, about the risks that AI poses and how AI is being used, how our adversaries are using AI, and how are we protecting ourselves from it? I think about my elders who are still alive, my great grandmother, my great grandmother, and getting phone calls. I mean, she still answer her phone to this day. You know what I'm saying? And she's just smart as a button. But it's like, how I'm thinking, like, how do I protect her from being spoofed or phished? You know what I'm saying? And I was supposed to verify my information. No, don't hang up the phone. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. Don't use it. But I will say I like you said, embrace it. I just completed an AI learning series that WESIS put on. It was the first cohort that they put on, and they've launched an AI affiliate. And going through that series, it really made me stop and think about, how can I make AI work for me? Right?
Mm.
How can Nakia implement AI, not just in my professional life, but also in my personal life? How can I use AI as my best friend? How can I make AI my best friend? And I hear about, how people talk to their AIs and go back and forth and have all these conversations. They even given it names and stuff like that. I ain't there yet. Okay. I haven't given, my AI a name yet. However, I do use it. And I'm starting to use it more. I'm starting to acclimate myself with it more. And I will tell you, LinkedIn Learning, YouTube University, Mr. Google, all of these platforms will be able to tell you what it is that you need to know. So, now on my way into work, I turn on a YouTube video and just listen to it, how to use AI to do, personal budget, how to use AI to invest smarter. How do I use AI? Mr. AI, what are the best stocks that I should be purchasing right now, for this week? You can feed your personal budget into AI and say, help me discover ways that I can save money or manage my money better. This is the type of car that I have. These are the not type of miles I have to drive every day. How do I ensure that I'm getting, the best use out of my vehicle, right? Like, what are some tips and tricks that I can use? But even more so, an entrepreneur mindset, and to step into, at one point in time, I look to, work for myself. I want to be my own boss. I want to be, my own owner of my own company, and be able to define, what success looks like based off of my mission and my vision, and not necessarily implementing someone else's. AI is one of the most utilized business tools out there to make an entrepreneur's dream come true. And
Mm-hmm.
once you know how to leverage that, it's going to catapult you to in a completely different lifestyle, a completely different realm. And like you say, it's not going away. Artificial intelligence isn't going anywhere, and it's been here for years. Just now coming to light and being publicly adopted, you're gonna have to learn it, like you said, Hugh. You're gonna have to learn how to make it your best friend and how to use it to your advantage. And like Dr. Ebony said, because if you don't, you will be left behind. So
Mm-hmm.
don't be like me. Don't be a late adopter. Don't be hesitant. Embrace it. Learn it. Learn how it works, and utilize it to the best of your abilities to, I'm gonna say, make your dreams come true, because it can. And just be careful when using it, because it's as good as the data that you put in as the data that it spits out.
Yep.
But the scary part about that is it's evolving, and it is software. It is very smart software that evolves and learns the more that it's used. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. But just be very careful and cautious of how you're
Yep.
using any AI software and platform, because as you're using it, it's learning.
That's true.
Yeah,
And
that's
if I can,
absolutely.
Dr. Butler, can I just
Yeah,
add
yes,
on
go
some
ahead. Yes, please.
important thing that Nakia mentioned? Far as like there's embrace AI definitely, but also know that there's non-technical or less technical areas of AI where there's a need. Be it policy, be it ethical use of AI, be it like basically cyber hygiene for AI, learning to how to identify deep fakes or robocalls, or how to properly use it to the point where you're not getting some like again or verifying hallucinations, or some of the data that it's coming back at you. But there's definitely a need, especially from on a national level to different industry sector level, for policy and frameworks related to AI. And there's a need for people who not only know AI, but also know policy, who also know these industries and how AI is, intersects with that industry, where people need to be, they need policies, they need ethical frameworks in place. So again, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying it's a big tent. Embrace it. Find your lane, be it on the technical side, not so technical side, practical user side. It's a big tent. Find your lane, enjoy it, embrace it, learn, and progress in the world.
Awesome. Awesome comments from all three of you. AI is going to be the differentiator in getting hired very soon, if not already, as our employers at Capital are telling us. So please, audience out there, to take heed to the wise words that you heard tonight, break down and start learning it. And I'm sure, that Dr. Gray has some sort of training plan that she's implemented for her students that she'd probably be willing to share that if anybody wants to get in touch with her. Sadly, we're coming down to the close of our panel, and we're up for closing remarks for our audience. Again, we're trying to convince this audience that the national service is worth it, and embrace it. And you don't have to spend the whole career in national service. Some folks only spend one tour, military tour, 4 years, and they're off, but they serve their country in one way or another, and you get great personal. I've gotten great personal satisfaction out of it myself, serving in the Marine Corps. I had a career similar to Hugh. I worked everywhere from IBM mainframes in a trailer in the field, all the way to strategic communications around the world. And I'll tell you, it's the same equipment, whether you're in uniform or wearing a suit. And I enjoyed every minute of it. I wish I could go back, but I'm too old now. So you know what I mean. So
yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It's always the people that make the difference.
Yep.
So we want to set ourselves up for closing remarks, but I want to do a plug first. Whenever anyone approaches me about getting into cybersecurity, I immediately think of the Blacks in cybersecurity. It's the mentorship and the training. It is top notch. You're getting someone who knows nothing, can't even spell cyber, to being able to interview for a job. So I definitely plug Blacks in cybersecurity and MCPA, military cyber professionals. If you are military and cyber, recommend you join that organization. And as Dr. Ebony said, build that network, become powerful. The larger your network, the more powerful you're going to be out there in the workforce. So that's my plug for our two sponsoring organizations. So we'll go to closing remarks here. Whatever you have to say to the audience as we home the camera in on you, speak directly to them.
Okay, I'll go first. So I always say this, and it was something that was taught to me early on by my great grandmother. She's on my mind because I keep thinking about her. Her birthday's coming up. She's 102, so she's still alive. But she always said that, the sky is the limit. And when I left California, she made me promise. She was like, grandbaby, just make sure you go get your college degree. Promise me you're going to go get your college degree. And I said, okay. I didn't just get my associates. I didn't just get my bachelor's, but I went all the way and got my master's. And I'm toying with the idea of getting my doctorate degree. Hint, hint, Dr. Butler.
Yes, yes. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you.
But what I will say is that regardless of where you come from and regardless of the environment in which you grew up in, there comes a point in your life where you are ultimately responsible for your destination. You know, you slide out of that passenger seat, you slide out of the back seat, and you slide into the driver's seat of your life. And you have a blank canvas. And when you look up at the sky is vast. You don't see limits to the sky. You can look to the left, to the right. You look up, there's no limit. And that's how your destiny and your future is. The sky is a limit. And it's up to you to define how your story is going to end. What masterpiece are you going to paint? Because at the end of the day, if you want it, go get it. Make it happen. Don't wait for it to happen. Go network, say hi, send that email, send that LinkedIn request, follow up. But at the end of the day, take your destiny and own it. And make sure that you're doing something that you're passionate about, that brings you joy, that when you go to sleep at night, you go to sleep at night feeling fulfilled. Don't just have a job to have a job. I say not all money is good money. So don't just take a job to chase the money. You know what I'm saying? But make sure that you are aligning yourself to be positioned where you can be the best version of you, but that you can also obtain and achieve everything that you set out for yourself or that your ancestors, your parents have set out for yourself. And then I challenge you, once you get there, make sure to send the elevator back down. Make sure to help those that are coming up just the way you came up. Make sure to send the elevator back down and give back to the future generations, just like you see all of us here on this panel today. Don't just get there and stay there, but make sure that you boom and ram it back, and so that others can be inspired and motivated by your success, because I know you're going to be successful. I speak that success over you right now. You're going to be successful in whatever it is you do. And with that, connect with any of us, myself on LinkedIn. If you guys have other questions, comments, or just want to say hi, and I will pass it on to the next panelist. Thank you.
I'm fired up. All right. So my first thing is your network directly impacts your net worth. Make sure that you're leaning on your community. Get you a mentor, get you a stakeholder, and most importantly, get you a coach to help you no matter what aspect of life you're in, no matter what phase in life that you're in, whether you're just starting out in high school, whether you're a college graduate, a young professional, a seasoned professional, or a transitioning professional. Lean on your network to help elevate you to that next level. You cannot do it by yourself. You need your community. With your community, connect with professional organizations like AFCEA, like Blacks in Cybersecurity, like Women in Cybersecurity, Black women in cybersecurity. Connect, lean on your networks, join these professional organizations so you can build your network and be able to have resources and people in place that can help you get to the next level. And most importantly, make sure you continuously train. Even if you have your PhD, I have my PhD, you still need to continuously train so that you can stay up on the different technologies. You can go to your public library. You can gain access to Udemy, Coursera, LinkedIn University, Google, IBM, all of the different platforms to continuously elevate your skills and learn. And YouTube University, don't forget about YouTube University. You can learn about anything. And also, as you're thinking about these different jobs, these different positions, I want you to think to yourself, why not you? Today, I showed one of my interns a $700,000 position at Netflix doing data analysis. And the first question I asked the intern was, why not you? There is somebody in your network that can help you get into that position. There is someone that can position you and advocate for you, a stakeholder that can help pull you or refer you for that position. So I want you to think whenever you see an obstacle, whenever you see a position, or maybe you want to enter into AI, right, as your career, I want you to think to yourself, Why not you? You deserve to be in a room. You deserve to be at the table, and you deserve that position. Thank you so much. I am Dr. Ebony Gray. You can all connect with me on LinkedIn at Ebony Gray or all of my social media at Dr. Ebony A. Gray. And I appreciate you for having me today. Thank you.
Oh. All right. Well, I'll close it out. It's been kind of the common theme, among the panelists, and kind of a word I've been pushing so far today is like just embrace the moment. Enjoy the ride. Find what you're passionate about, and just run with it. Learn it. Master your craft. Contribute. Don't back down from any challenge that you may encounter, be it at work, be it professionally, be it like a personal goal. Set high goals, set high expectations for yourself, and just joyfully embrace it and work to achieve it. And also I'll say, think globally. It's world's getting smaller, or the world is small, and there's no reason to say like, I'm limited to this urban area, this geographic area, this country. It's a global world, and there's a need for smart and enthusiastic and dedicated folks, across the globe. Be visible. And as a Black man, and as a person who's been living overseas for a while, it's great to see another African American in some of these like small countries or remote areas that I've visited, and it's nice to have that exposure to other folks internationally. So don't limit yourself. Think globally. Get out there, learn, contribute. Maximize the moment. And like Dr. Ebony said, stay curious. Especially when it comes to technology, embracing technology, learning it, and even just something that that's not necessarily technical, but something that you're passionate about, be it in music or whatever. Just stay curious. Never say, my opportunity to learn this is past. No, it's as long as you're alive, and you can access the internet and YouTube for a learning video, there's no limit to what you can do and what you can learn. And again, just embrace it, maximize the moment, and don't limit yourself. And again, I'm Hugh Shepard, Hugh Shepard Jr. I'm on LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Get involved. There's great organizations like BIC, Black Women in Cyber, other organizations, Cybrary, MCPA. Get involved. Become a mentor in those organizations, or just a member and contribute to the community. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be on the panel today.
Wow, this was an awesome panel this year. I'd like to thank, on behalf of Blacks in Cybersecurity and Military Cyber Professionals Associates, I'd like to thank this panel for giving of your time and access to you via your LinkedIn to the audience. Hopefully they'll take advantage of that. And we look forward to, if any of you are going to be at DEF CON this year, this video will be available right before DEF CON. MCPA and the BIC will share that information with you. Again, I want to thank the panel, and hope you guys have a great year. And we look forward to seeing you out at Black Hat or DEF CON. So thank you. That is the end of the panel.
Thank you.